We back, baby.
Offense, you know what to do.
It's football time in Tennessee.
Get this Tennessee.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the 1796 Sports Podcast. I'm your host, NormalVolFan, alongside with Ryan, talking a lot of stuff to catch up on. We got a lot of stuff to catch up on, but we're going to get right into it, and we're going to talk about the Missouri series. Tennessee baseball started off hot. They hit 6 home runs on Friday, won the game 10-1, and then struggled at the plate the next 2 games, and then struggled last night against Lipscomb. What did you think with the series against Missouri? What did you get from that game? Did you see anything specifically that made you excited, a little bit worried? What'd you think?
Yeah. So to me, you can look at it one of two ways. So glass half full, you can say, well, the pitching's been the concern all year, and that's clearly the reason that you swept that series because you won the last 2 games 3-2. So, I mean, or you could look at it, Tennessee's on a hitting slump and you hope they get out of it. But I'm very happy that when the hitting slowed down in the last 3 games, Tennessee's pitching was able to, step up and get the 2 important wins. I mean, I'm not really concerned about what happened against Lipscomb, but Tennessee's pitching stepped up and got the 2 important wins. That's my big takeaway. I'm really not concerned about the hitting. I think it'll come back around this weekend down in Gainesville.
Oh yeah, especially with all the hype. I mean, it's against Florida. I mean, the boys are gonna be hyped for this one. I don't know if you saw the video of them getting off the plane today. They're dripped out.
Mm-hmm.
They look like they're excited to play. And this is a series, really. You spoke about it before, saying how this is probably the toughest series left for Tennessee. I mean, being the last road series. Well, I say last. I mean, I know Vandy's on the road technically, but you know what I mean. But yeah, I think this is going to be a step-up spot for the Bats. Now, that's not saying the pitching could be atrocious, but you know what I'm talking about. I think with the news of A.J. Russell potentially being able to come back here soon, I think this might be our last SEC series without A.J. Russell maybe starting, which is huge. We need him back and healthy because that one arm alone will change the dynamic of Tennessee baseball. I think if you have him Friday, Drew Beam Saturday, and then you can move, whoever to the Sunday spot. So it's going to be interesting. I think Tennessee, we've talked about it multiple times. They have a crazy ceiling. It's just, let's see if they can pull it out. I think they need to take 2 games this weekend to set the tone, and it could be a big spot in the East. It's going to be, Kentucky's behind, but they play Arkansas this weekend. That's going to be a really tough one for them. This is where Tennessee could take advantage.
Absolutely. And, you touched on it. Getting Russell back would be it would be huge. It would be just unfathomably huge for the pitching staff. And then the possibilities are endless from there because you've been throwing Kazi on Friday night with Stamos as the opener. And, now you could put Kazi on Sunday. You could put Sechrist back to the bullpen. I mean, there's so many possibilities that open up that makes Tennessee's pitching staff stronger that it's really exciting. But I really want to talk about, I obviously spoke on it in my first spill. The pitching over the weekend was phenomenal. Stamos on Friday night goes, almost 3 innings. And then like we've seen the past few series on Friday night, Kazi comes in and nearly closes out the game. Matthew Dallas came in and got that last out on Friday night, but just awesome pitching. And then on Saturday, Drew Beam shoved for 7 innings till he hit a wall. And then on Sunday, another, it was more of a team effort on Sunday, like it is with most teams on Sunday, even the best teams. combination of Seacrest, Snead, Combs, and Kirby Cannell only allowed 2 runs again. So, like I said, the pitching was a really big positive when we needed it, and it's very nice to see because Tennessee very easily could have lost that series if the pitching was not on point on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everyone talking about how Tennessee's pitching so bad, and I'm one of them. I've said it before, but Tennessee's been pretty spot on the pitching end. If you look at the stats, I mean, they're doing pretty damn well, and they're like we talked about, they're missing one of their best pitchers with AJ Russell. You know, it's gonna be nice having someone like that back in the rotation. Hopefully he get back for that Vandy series. If not, I mean, honestly, at this point, if the pitching could hold up with what it's been doing and the bats stay awake, I think Tennessee could even hold him out until, we get to the postseason. But we'll see. It's going to be interesting what's to come with all that. But it's going to definitely be a huge bonus to have him.
For sure. I mean, I want to speak on the Lipscomb game from last night for a second. And to anyone who's concerned, just go look at the other SEC teams. I guarantee you, with at least 10 of them, you will find a midweek loss. It happens. So, I mean, Tennessee's lost to Tennessee Tech the previous 2 years in the midweek. Like, this kind of things happens when you're experimenting during the midweek. And I would rather us experiment during the midweek than tire out important arms just to win a pointless game that doesn't really affect your resume. So if anybody's concerned, just realize that it really doesn't matter that much. And this might be a wake-up call that makes the team play better down in Gainesville. So I'm really not taking that Lipscomb game into much account at all.
Well, I mean, like you just said, I mean, the team we're playing this weekend, they've struggled all year. And it's not saying they're a bad baseball team. Like, Florida is Florida, and they're going to be good at baseball. I mean, they've just struggled this year. Same thing as LSU. So you're going to lose a midweek. It's whatever. I mean, we're not pitching our best guys. Kavaris Tears didn't even start. So you got to think it's not the end of the world to lose that game. Yeah, do you want to win it? Of course you do, but it happens. It's baseball. We move on. We got a series that we need to win this weekend. It's a tough one on the road in Gainesville. So now, speaking about Florida, I mean, they got a guy, Jack Caglione. I mean, this dude, excellent pitcher, hits the snot out of the baseball. He's a tough out. He's a tough pitcher to face. I'm not sure. Is he their Friday guy?
Oh, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
I'm assuming he probably is. I mean, we'll probably be seeing him Friday. But I mean, besides him, there's really only like 2 hitters that are, average wise in good standings. I mean, Jack's batting 402. The next guy's batting 339 and 317, and after that, you're in the 280s and below. So Tennessee's got to take advantage of that. I think if the pitching could just hold up, our defense has been pretty stellar. You had a few errors here and there, but they've been really good for the most part. So as long as the bats stay awake, I don't see. Now, I'm not saying we're sweeping Florida, but I'm just saying, Tennessee should win these baseball games. They're the better team on paper. So,
yes, absolutely. Now, Florida, they do. I mean, they're 23 and 21. They're 9 and 12 in conference. But just going through their schedule, I mean, they start out the year winning a series against A&M, who is by far one of the best teams in the SEC, along with Tennessee and Arkansas. They go to LSU and win. They come back home against Mississippi State, win that series. But then they go to Missouri and get swept. I mean, this Florida out of nowhere, and that kind of set their conference season this year so far. It kind of sent it off the rails. I mean, they haven't won a series since then. But if you look at their series last weekend, they lost the series, but Arkansas only beat them in the other two games by 1 run in each game. So Tennessee's in for a dogfight. And like you said, Florida's always going to be good at baseball. They're always going to want to beat Tennessee. But
They're home.
Yeah, they're home. But Tennessee had a really, really bad series at home against Florida last year, and I think they're going to want some revenge.
Yeah, last time we were in Gainesville too. I mean, we all know what happened. So
That ninth inning comeback on Sunday with 2 outs and freshman Christian Moore announcing himself as a force, and he hasn't let up since. I mean, I remember listening to that on the radio and just being blown away. I mean, that was incredible.
yeah, absolutely. It's going to be an interesting one. I mean, like I said, I feel like if Tennessee could sneak it out Friday, I don't see them losing the series. It's going to be a tough one though. Or actually Thursday, they're playing tomorrow. So it's it'll be a fun one. It's going to be, I kind of like having these Thursday games. Keeps me having something to watch during the week. And Thursday is usually the day you don't have anything. So it's good. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. I hope the boys show up. I think they're gonna be pissed after the Lipscomb game too. I think they're gonna be pumped to play some baseball, and hopefully they could take advantage.
Absolutely. And Tony kind of, I mean, I talked about it just a second ago, how these midweek games don't really matter. You're never going to hear that from Tony Vitello. He demands excellence every time they step onto the diamond, and I'm sure that team will respond down in Gainesville.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, hopping off the baseball train, let's talk about some NFL draft. I mean, we had a couple balls taken inside the draft, and a lot taken after the draft was over, and had the guys going after the draft. I mean, we had a boatload, but we'll talk about the 3 that were taken inside the draft. And my most, I am mind blown that Jalen Wright went as low as he did. But to the Dolphins of all teams, oh my, how in the hell is someone going to stop that offense? You thought, listen to me, you think Jalen Wright had the gimmick offensive hype? Oh, that's why he's so good. Okay, now NFL defenses have to worry about Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. They have other wide receivers that are just as good. Then you got to worry about A-Chain, Jalen Wright, and Raheem Mostert. It's absolutely absurd that he fell so low. I was hoping my Giants took him, because losing Barkley, I think they should have taken someone like him. But what did you think about Jalen Wright going to the Fins?
I mean, like you just said, I think there are not many other teams that would be a better fit for Jalen Wright. I think a wide open offense is perfect for him, and it's mostly a zone run scheme, like it was at Tennessee. I mean, I think it's perfect. And if the Titans weren't in Tennessee, I would be a Dolphins fan. That's who my dad grew up cheering for. He loves Dan Marino. So I'm thrilled with where Jalen Wright fell. And like you said, I think it's crazy that he wasn't a third rounder. That's where I thought he would go. I thought he would go on Friday night. He falls to the third day, but I think the Dolphins are getting an absolute steal here.
Well, they traded up to get him.
Mm-hmm.
I think McDaniel said, that's my type of guy, I want him, and that's absolutely right. I mean, the fact that I named all the guys you have to worry about already, and it just leaves him the lane to be wide open and go, just like he was at Tennessee.
Yep, absolutely. Now, we were talking about it before we started here tonight, but Joe Milton going to the Patriots.
Mind-boggling. Now, we're talking about Joe Milton here. I mean, everyone thought, oh, he's not a great quarterback. Oh, he's not going to go. He's not going to get drafted. Well, he got drafted. He got drafted to the Patriots. It's still mind-boggling to me that they took him after taking Drake May. I know they got rid of Mac Jones to the Jaguars, but I just don't get it, because having a young quarterback like Drake May that you're obviously gonna most definitely gonna be the starter, if I'm assuming right. So I guess they're just betting on Joe Milton. I don't know. Maybe he could prove himself in the preseason. Maybe they could trade him. I don't know. But what do you think about it?
I mean, it's certainly strange. I mean, I can see why they would want a guy with loads of potential, but I don't see why you would draft a guy with loads of potential after you drafted a guy in the first round. I mean, that's my only thing. I think Joe Milton does need some time as a backup in the NFL if he's going to realize his true potential. But you would think that being a backup behind a veteran would be a lot more beneficial. So it is weird. Not the ideal landing spot, but, during the Patriots dynasty, Tom Brady was the king of less than 5-yard passes. And that's
Well, here's my thing, though. Like, to me, like, in all talent sense, I think Joe Milton's better than Drake May. Like, and he's bigger, stronger, probably a little bit faster. I didn't look at the 40 time for Drake May, but I mean, they're probably pretty similar. So it's the tangibles for me are better. It's just like you said. I feel like if he could have sat behind like an Aaron Rodgers, or if he went to the Bills and played behind Josh Allen, or just learn from someone like you said of a veteran standpoint, he would be maybe traded or even take a spot from somebody later on, a couple years down the road.
Yeah. I mean, I guess Joe Milton is more talented. I mean, I don't guess. I know he's more talented than Drake May, but Drake May is a far better quarterback at this point. And Joe Milton hasn't put it together, in between the ears, reading a defense or whatnot, or putting the right touch on his passes. But you mentioned the Bills there. Josh Allen and Joe Milton are kind of the same type of quarterback. I mean, Josh Allen had to be reeled in from chucking it, during his first few years in the NFL. And I think Josh Allen could have helped Milton, learn how to put touch on passes too. But he fell where he fell. He is with a VFL head coach in Gerard Mayo. So that's a nice little storyline. And I hope he thrives and does well if Drake May, doesn't pan out.
Absolutely. Now, we could talk about Joe Milton all day, but the one I'm really proud about that proved a lot of people wrong this draft was Kamal Hadden. I mean, went to in my opinion, the perfect fit for where he needed to be. I mean, he went to the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs just, traded away Snead to the Titans. And I think he's going to get some opportunities to play. Before Hadden got hurt, he was one, if not the best DB in all of college football. I mean, I think from getting booed in the first 3 games to where everyone was praising this kid, I'm really stoked that he, found a spot in the draft and someone took a shot on him. Yeah,
and I think Kansas City is a spot where he could potentially see the field pretty early. It's to be coming off an injury that he had, missing the last half of the season, and still being drafted in the 6th round. I think that's pretty good. Now, if he didn't get hurt, I think I mentioned on the last podcast, I think he would have been easily on day 2 in the 2nd or 3rd round, but it happened how it happened. But like you said, it's really nice to see a player like Kamal Hadden, who's been through all he's been through, get drafted.
Absolutely. Now, we could talk about him all day, but I feel like we have so many undrafted guys that got signed that we got to start talking about them. I mean, I want to start off with the two guys that went to the Titans. I mean, you had Jabari Small and correct me if I'm wrong. Who's the second one that went to the Titans? Why am I drawing a blank?
Gabe Judy Lally.
Gabe Judy Lally, yes. And I mean, yeah, they weren't drafted, but Tennessee had a lot of guys called even after the draft and said, "Hey, come play on the team, earn a spot." And that's all you need is a chance. And a lot of these guys, man, they're getting their chance. And Heupel's really showing that Tennessee in the next couple of years is going to be another Georgia and Alabama and Michigan. You're going to get put into the next league.
Yeah. I mean, 9 undrafted free agents from Tennessee. And like you said, we'll start with the guys who stayed in state here, going to the Titans. I think Jabari Small has a really good chance of making the Titans roster.
I agree.
You have Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears. They're easily your top 2 running backs. But if you want a guy to play special teams, to maybe, get the ball on short yardage situations, I think Jabari Small is a good fit. It's certainly better than the slop the Titans have right now in Hassan Haskins. Chestnut is a decent piece, but I think Small, if he gets to training camp and shows that he belongs, could easily make that 53-man roster.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'm not saying Judy Lally can't. I mean, he stepped up for us this past year. I mean, he played pretty well. I think he's another one that, being that I don't know. I think the Titans DB room is pretty well stapled now that Snead's on there. But not saying he can't be a backup though. So
yeah, I mean, Gabe Jeudy-Lally's a long shot. He could be a practice squad guy. I just don't see him making it on the initial roster. I mean, just because you got Snead from the Chiefs, you got Awuzie from the Bengals, and you also drafted a cornerback out of Louisville. So he's going to have to really impress. You also drafted a safety out of Miami. And certainly a long shot. That's all I have to say about Gabe Jeudy-Lally. But it's nice to see him stay home and get his shot in a familiar place. Now, let's just start from the top here. McAllen Castles to the Philadelphia Eagles. Good fit or bad fit?
Personally, I think it's a really good fit. If he could get on the roster, he gets to, learn behind a really talented tight end. I mean, I think that's a good fit for him. I think he's a great blocker. We've seen that he could catch the ball pretty well. And like I said, he's going to learn behind a excellent veteran in Dallas Goedert. So I think it's very interesting. I think it's a good fit, though.
Yeah, me too. I think he has a chance to do some good things in Philadelphia. Moving on, the Raiders also got 2 Tennessee players in the undrafted free agent market. First one, Jacob Warren. Second one, Ramel Keaton. I'm not going to pretend to know the Las Vegas Raiders skill position situation, but I think Jacob Warren has the better shot of making that roster.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be tough for him, to be honest, after they drafted Brock Bowers, but and they already got Mayer. It's going to be tough. I think both will have a tough time making the roster, but I'm not saying, I mean, anything's possible. I hope they both make it, but I agree. I think out of the 2, I think Warren has the best shot. So it'll be interesting. I hope at least one of them can make it.
Yeah. Now, this is kind of a sad story to me because I thought this guy would be on draft boards based on how he ended in the 2022 season, but Aaron Beasley falls to an undrafted free agent to the Seattle Seahawks. Well, what are your thoughts on that?
Like another team, I think I think are going to find a steal. I think he's going to do well in the NFL. He's fast. He's quick off the ball. He could tackle real well. I just think you're right. I think he should have been drafted. Really good linebacker, a lot of upside. But I mean, sometimes this happens. He's got to go prove himself. But I think he's got the team to fall into place here. So hopefully he could prove himself and make the roster.
Absolutely. I totally agree with everything you just said. Next one, Jeremiah Crawford joining another former Vol on the offensive line in Carolina in Cade Mays. Panthers are kind of a dumpster fire. Their owner is going to restaurants and taking people's hats off and telling them to take down a sign. Whatever. But what do you think about that landing spot for Crawford?
I think he's got a good opportunity to play. I'm not saying he's going to be a starting offensive lineman right away, but I think he could earn his keep, and he did well here. He developed really well. I think it's another one that could potentially land a spot on the roster, and at least be a backup for a little bit.
Yeah, Jalen McCullough, Los Angeles Rams. To me,
joining Byron Young.
Oh yeah, Byron Young should have won Defensive Rookie of the Year. Call me crazy. Anyway, Jalen McCullough, I don't know if his game's going to translate. Not to be mean to Jalen, but he was pretty slow back there at times. Did make some good plays this year. I see that as a practice squad situation there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying he can't make it. It's just, it's hard to say. I mean, he's a VFL. He stuck through it, stayed on the team when Heupel came in, and he did what he could. I just think it's going to be a rough time for him in the NFL, but I hope he proves me wrong.
Yeah, I mean he's played tons of football. He's a 5-year player. He played in 54 games at Tennessee. I mean that's up there. But again, long shot there, but we'll see what he can do out there in the City of Angels. And now the last one we got, D. Williams, also to the Seahawks, joining Aaron Beasley. Now,
he's going to play.
Yeah, I think, I mean, again, I'm not going to pretend to know the Seahawks return man situation, but with this new rule being implemented where the players start 10 yards from each other, no running starts, everybody's in the same spot except the kicker, I think D. Williams, with how electric he is, could do some damage in the NFL.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, we've seen this. Look at the punt return against A&M this past year. Like, the kid could do it all. I think he's going to be up there on one of the greats, I think, when it comes to special teams. I think he could definitely get there at least.
Yeah, I think that's his home in the NFL. He couldn't get on the field as a cornerback consistently at Tennessee, but as a returner, I mean, I think he could be as good as Cordero Patterson returning the ball in the NFL, and I don't think it's a stretch to say that. Another Tennessee returning legend in the NFL. So, but that's it for the undrafted free agents and the draft picks. You got any overarching thoughts on how the draft went for the Tennessee Vols?
No, I think we said it before. I think couples should have been taken, but it is what it is. NFL teams know what they're doing when it comes to saving some money, and you get steals like an Aaron Beasley as an undrafted guy, or Tank or Jacob Warren, any guy that got undrafted, they could end up being steals for you. I mean, look at Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy was the last pick in the draft, and now he's Mr. All-Star. You never know.
Yep. There's been plenty of undrafted players carve out a good career in the NFL, so I hope it happens for all of them. But some big news after we recorded last week for Tennessee basketball. Felix Okpara, Vol from Ohio State. Jesus.
Get it.
And Igor Milicic from Charlotte, also a Vol. What are your thoughts on those two big men committing to Tennessee?
Huge pickups, especially with Awaka going to Arizona and Adu going to Arkansas. I mean, you had to fill some shoes. I mean, they still have, I think it's 3 open spots or maybe 4. I think we're counting Chaz Lanier as a spot. I don't know. I think it's either 3 or 4 spots left. But I think huge pickups. They played really well last year. Okpara is more of a defensive center, which is what Tennessee needed, to be honest. Big rebounder, protects the rim. He's lacking probably a little bit on the offensive side, but I don't think he needed to do that when he was playing at Ohio State. So we could be surprised with what he's doing. I mean, you could be shocked in the offensive capabilities of some people. So hopefully he could prove that. But Milicic, man, dude could shoot lights out. He really reminds me of Dalton Connect. I mean, he's taller. He could shoot. He's probably a little bit less of a shot creator than Dalton. I mean, we're never going to get a Dalton Connect again, but he really reminds me of him. I think it's good. He's going to be one of the main guys this year. But huge pickups. It's going to be tough to guard Tennessee, man. A lot of these guys could shoot the 3 ball, and it's going to be spread the floor type move for Tennessee coming up.
Yeah. I think, I mean, Tennessee got taller whenever you get 2 6'10", 6'11" players. When you consider that Adu was a 7-footer, but Awaka was 6'8". I think that's good. We got bigger inside. But we're still chasing Chaz, which, like you said, looks pretty good for Tennessee right now. You got cryptic tweets going out. You got from Chaz himself, from, Austin Price. I mean, it's looking good for Tennessee on that front. So land Chaz, and then let's see where we're at. See if we can add any more pieces. And I think the basketballs are looking very good for next year.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you land Chaz, now I definitely want to talk about this before the end of the podcast, but I'm really interested on how this lineup's going to turn out. I think Rick Barnes is going to have to play a little bit more guys this year, but it's not the end of the world. I feel like Tennessee could get a couple more from the portal. They need more from the portal, to be honest. I think, but that's the issue where it gets to the lineup part. I mean, Sakai starting, obviously.
Yep.
Okpara is going to start for sure.
Meshack will start.
See, that's where it gets tricky. Then where I feel like Dubar is going to start.
Yeah.
Chaz is not coming off the bench. He's not coming off the bench.
You're right. Well, we're just going to have to see where everything lands. What the smoke coming out of the building up to the season is. But I find it hard to not think Meshack. I mean, if he doesn't start, he needs to be playing 25 minutes a game.
Well, but that's my thing is I think Meshack. Meshack. We all know Meshack could be a starter. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I think Meshack's the type of kid, the type of guy that if it's going to benefit the team, him coming off the bench and still, like you said, and still playing 25, 28 minutes. I mean, his energy off the bench really helped Tennessee this year in more ways than we could count. And we know he's one of, if not the best on-ball defenders in all of college basketball. And I just think if Chaz comes to Tennessee, he's starting. I think this is my starting lineup. I'm just going to say if Chaz comes, Zakai, Chaz, Dubar, Milicic, and Okpara. And that's what I'm saying is I think Gainey, Meshack. I think it's going to be Meshack is going to be the 6th man. He's going to be playing a lot of minutes. I think we'll see a lot more offensive Meshack this year. Gainey's going to be coming off the bench, obviously, and I think Carr is going to play a lot. I think you have to play Carr a lot. This way he doesn't hit the portal next year.
So Zakai and then the 4 transfers starting.
I mean, that's why you go get him. I mean, these transfers are. I just don't think. I mean, I could be wrong. I know Chaz out of all of them is starting. He's not coming to come off the bench.
Yeah. I see Meshack starting. That's just my opinion.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I think he's going to be the odd one out, if anything.
Yeah. I think Rick Barnes likes playing players that have been here a while. I mean, we saw it all year with Josiah and Vescovi. This will be Meshack's, 3rd year? I think. Might be 4th year. But anyway.
I think he was a junior this year.
Yeah, this will be his 4th year. So I think Barnes will ride with the experience, at least to start games. But we'll see. I mean, if you are able to land Chaz, compare it and combine it with Dubar, Milicic, and Okpara, wherever you put them, they're going to benefit Tennessee a ton. And Tennessee will have a...
Can I just say, if you get Chaz, I'm more scared to play Tennessee this year than last year.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the shooting. The shooting alone is just outrageous.
The team-wide shooting probably goes up immediately.
Well, think about it. You got Zakai, Jordan Gainey. I mean, Meshack could shoot too. I mean, he's not an elite shooter, but he could shoot. Dubar shot over 40% from 3. Milicic shot over 40% from 3. And, I mean, Chaz scores all over the place. So it's going to be ridiculous. And Carr could shoot too. I feel like he was just a little nervous when he came in this season, whenever he had the opportunity. But the dude showed he could flat out score too. So, I mean, it's going to be really fun to watch this year, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we did have some bad news. I mean, Cade Tyson did end up committing to North Carolina. But I think if you got Cade Tyson, Chaz probably goes elsewhere. So hopefully we're getting the better of the two players.
Well, I just feel like Milicic had, or his father coaches overseas, and I think his dad had a lot of, persuasion for him to come to Tennessee, being coached by a guy like Rick Barnes is a huge deal. And look at what happened to Dalton Connect. He wasn't a great defender at the beginning of the season, but he ended up being pretty decent. So it's somewhere to come learn how to see the other side of the ball. And I'm not saying he's a bad defender. I mean, it's just you learn a lot from a guy like Rick Barnes. So, and that's another thing. Like, if you're saying how Cade Tyson didn't come here, that's what I'm talking about with the rest of the transfers. You can't get other guys. Like, you look at Kentucky. Kentucky's transfer portal is ridiculous this year, but like half of them aren't going to be able to play. Like, you have a bunch of guys coming in to start and play, but they're overhauling, and I feel like Tennessee is underhauling. I feel like Tennessee needs 1 to 2 more transfers, but they're not going to be guys that are super scorers or anything like that, because they're going to want playing time. But if you get a guy like Chaz, it makes it difficult. Like I said, with Meshack, I mean, it's going to make it really difficult to find guys that playing time with guys like Chaz and Milicic and Okpara and, all that. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're probably, if you get Chaz, you're probably looking for maybe 1, 2 more role player type guys.
And probably, knowing Rick, he's probably going the defensive route.
Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely agree. But yeah, Tennessee, we're waiting on Chaz, but we did secure Milicic and Okpara. So good spot right now. Now, any way that you'd like to end it, Jim?
I just, the way I want to end it is say, let's beat them Gators this weekend. I want next podcast. I want to be talking about how Chaz Linear has committed to the University of Tennessee. I know he's a valid listener of this podcast, and he needs to come here, make his legendary season with Tennessee. He'll be a first round draft pick next year. Lock it in, bookmark it.
I could not agree more. And the last thing I'll say is go Vols.
Go motherfucking balls, baby.